Because when we say that, then we are trying to forget the enslavement of our people used as labor to build these infrastructures. But to negate the contribution of black people in building this country is an insult to the people who suffered and died under severe conditions imposed by colonizers in building this country. Why am I saying this? Because while leaders of most other African countries saw liberation, freedom, and independence as a way of taking over the country's resources only to enrich themselves and their families and ignore the citizens, you, President Nelson Mandela, saw beyond that and had that which concerns the citizens in your heart. Again, I salute you, sir. Welcome to my channel. My name is Brad Jones, and it's your only bra from Ghana. And I'm living inside South Africa, aka Tabo, aka Tapelo, aka Karabo, aka Sifiso, aka Sibosiso, aka Sipo, aka Golani, aka Koglelelo, aka whatever South African name you call me, I accept. Call me your South African brother. Guys, if this is the first time you're coming across this channel, please consider subscribing. You take this time out, subscribe to the channel, and then like this video. And then let's take this video viral. Support this channel. But if you're already a subscriber, may God richly bless you for patronizing my channel. In fact, I really love your support and I respect your support. May God bless you. You know, this is a travel channel with me, your bra, from Ghana, and I'm living inside South Africa. And I'm showing the positivity. I'm showing the good vibes. I'm showing the good systems. I'm showing everything positive. We talk about positivity here. We don't have time for any negativity. Oh yeah. And so once it remains a travel channel, someday we are going to go outside South Africa and show Africa to the world. And then one day, we are going to go into the world and then show the world to the world. And so please, subscribe to this channel. Help this channel grow. Subscribe and then like this video. Thank you. So, in the previous series of videos that I've been making in the past 2 months, I've been speaking about why South Africa is different and is doing so well economically for its citizens, and that it is even being beneficiary to citizens of other African countries, in spite of all the problems that SA has got, just like any other African country. And yet, it appears to be a dream African country for most Africans to visit for various reasons, but mostly for greener pastures. Even though they claim South Africans are xenophobic, they don't like other Africans, and the country is not safe. There is a lot of crimes and all that, blah, 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 blah. But yet, they are still coming here for greener pastures. And those that are here and being established are not willing to live back to their country in spite of the crime that they claim is here. And as usual, citizens of Africa on the continent and that of those in the diaspora came to share their honest opinion and are still sharing their honest opinion in the comment section. And some of them are saying South Africans are having these good infrastructure and systems courtesy the mastermind of the Europeans that came to colonize them and all that. Oh yeah, again and again and again, most of them says it is the Europeans that came to colonize South Africa and the whites that are still living in South Africa that is making South Africa so developed and economically making its citizens live a good life, unlike most African countries. And so there's no big deal about that. But I have already spoken about this issue, and it made me make a general question that if indeed the colonizers that came here used our own resources to build years ago Africa that is still being beneficiary to us today, then what is stopping our current black leaders from using the same resources that we have, that the Europeans had, to get Africa to its potential? Because every African country, one way or the other, is blessed with natural resources that is enough for the country's development, for its citizens to live a good and a deserved life on their own soil, and not to cause them to travel outside the country for greener pastures at all costs. Some African countries, after the colonizers left, they are not even being able to maintain the infrastructure and development that were left behind. And they are leaving them in rotten states. And also the new ones that are being built by current black leaders are not well maintained because of political reasons. For example, when a ruling government builds infrastructure, policies, and systems, it will never be maintained and run properly by the next government when there is change of power. The infrastructure that was started by the previous government won't be continued, talk of finish, with the current ones. Policies won't be continued, and all that causing financial loss to the state. And when it happens like that, it is the citizens that suffers the consequences the most. And you realize that supposed to be state properties are left halfway to rot. And it's always pulling the nation down and taking it back all the time. And that is what is happening in most African countries, like my own country, Ghana. I don't know which African country you are watching this video from, but you can relate to what I'm saying. You know it's also happening there in your country. But as a Ghanaian living in South Africa, I came to realize that it is not the case here in this country. Though South Africa might have its own political issues. But in spite of that, the leaders are still doing the most for the citizens economically. South Africa, just like any other African country, was also colonized by the same Europeans. But the infrastructure, system, and then policies that were left by the Europeans are still well maintained to date. And they are still being great beneficiary and contributing to the development of this country. Moreover, South Africa, as giant and beautiful as it is today, wasn't made or built by the Europeans alone per se. Because when we say that, then we are trying to forget the enslavement of our people used as labor to build these infrastructures. But to negate the contribution of black people in building this country is an insult to the people who suffered and died under severe conditions imposed by colonizers in building this country. And so sometimes when I see such comments like, it is the colonizers and the whites that are living in South Africa that built this beautiful country, then it sounds like as if when the colonizers came, they hid all the blacks, the South Africans, in a cave and put them in a particular place and then locked them. And now they brought their own laborers, carpenters, blacksmiths, road construction workers, and all that, etc., etc., to build this country. It is so easy to comment and say that it is only whites that built South Africa as it is today. See, before 1994, most South Africans didn't have electricity. They were using paraffin for stoves and lamps. They didn't have enough housing. Families were piled in one house, sleeping on the floor from the kitchen to the dining room because their parents were domestic workers, truck drivers, restaurant workers, nannies, gardeners. They were traveling on bad roads to work. They lived their best times of life as slaves to these Europeans in building this country, just like how the United States was built from their history. And so to erase the contribution of black people in building that country is gross ignorance of the history and serving injustice to the people who made America for what it is today. Because the biggest single cost item in businesses is labor. And if you can get it for free, like the United States did, and you can get it on the cheap, like South Africans did, then you are going to make a lot of money. See, South Africa was built by white and then black citizens, yes. But the main contributors to South Africa's development, not just in infrastructure, was the availability of large and cheap black labor imposed by white brains and directives. I remember I read something some time ago in the comment section, and the person was like, President Nelson Mandela said it publicly that he did not want to make the same mistakes other African countries made by chasing the colonizers away too fast, without learning their skills and ideas to build a nation after they are gone. Well, I may not know whether this is true or not, but if this is true, then I must say it was the best decision ever that was taken by him. The best decision ever. Oh yeah, because I could imagine the kind of pressure that was on him from voices of black citizens crying for liberation and freedom immediately from the hands of the colonizers due to pain, torture, misfortune, and fighting to claim whatever things that belongs to them that has been held by these colonizers. But this honorable man, in spite of the pressure and cries and complaints that were coming at him all the time by the then frustrated and perishing black citizens of South Africa, he still saw the good out of the bad or the worst that was happening and said to his people that, hey, I know I have heard the voices. I know what is happening. In fact, we are all in this together. But if you can bear with me and endure this for a while, if you can bear the pain and endure this period for a little more time, we are not only going to liberate ourselves and be free now, but will also sustain and be of a great benefit to a generation to come, some 30 years and over. Brethren, it takes a great and a brave visionary. It takes a generational thinker. It takes a leader who doesn't only act upon what he looks with the eyes, but sees with the mind, like Nelson Mandela. Wow. See, the ability to see a poultry in an egg and a plantation or a tree in a seed in the midst of starvation is what separates men from boys. I salute you, sir. May your honorable and gentle soul rest in perfect peace. May the Almighty keep you safe and give you rest wherever that you are. Oh yeah, why am I saying this? Because while leaders of most other African countries saw liberation, freedom, and independence as a way of taking over the country's resources only to enrich themselves and their families and ignore the citizens, you, President Nelson Mandela, saw beyond that and had that which concerns the citizens in your heart. Again, I salute you, sir. The seed that you sow and the sacrifices that you made is as a result of South Africa being a giant of Africa as it is today. I am sure that when freedom from the colonizers or the Europeans were being delayed, frustrated and desperate black citizens of South Africa then were complaining and were like, Mandela is not being fair to us. He is conniving with the whites and keeping us in this slavery forever. He is not transparent. He cannot be our leader. And blah, 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 blah. But it's understandable because even the Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. Oh yeah. And so in the presence of frustration, delay, and desperations, the people will murmur. But sometimes, just sometimes, we don't have to see the negatives negatively. Oh yeah. Because of that delay, it has somehow bettered competent black leaders for South Africans today. No matter how corrupt that you guys seems to see the black leaders of South Africa today, you won't deny the fact that South African citizens are living so well to the extent that they are not considering leaving this country to somewhere else for greener pastures at all costs. Maybe the current black leaders of South Africa might have their own problems as seen by the citizens, but with the same resources as that of other African nations leaders have, they are doing the most for South African citizens by building new and modern infrastructures and maintaining them. They are still keeping good policies and systems running. In fact, after gaining freedom from the colonizers in 1994 and black leadership took over, South Africa have improved a lot in all areas like electricity, water, good roads, modern shopping malls, better than what we see in most African countries' cities. South Africans are benefiting from social grants and business grants, building new cities like Sandton, Waterval, and new modern stadiums by all standards with high quality maintenance culture, and etc. etc. And all these developments are done by black government of South Africa. And they are putting up great effort to contribute to the life of South African citizens and keeps on making the life of South African citizens better, unlike what we see in most African countries, causing its citizens to migrate for greener pastures at all costs. This and many more I see and I say as a Ghanaian that South Africa, as giant as it is today, was not developed or built by Europeans alone. Guys, this is where I'm going to end this video. And I say thank you so much for always patronizing this channel. And if by any means you find this video interesting, kindly consider subscribing. Subscribe to this channel and then help this channel grow. And then like this video and then let's take this video viral. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. May God richly bless you. Remember that the Almighty God has created this earth and has given you power to create your own space out of it. There is a creator that has created you to continue to create on. And so whatever that your hand shall find doing shall be blessed. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.